The National Alliance for Public Charter Schools was created to serve as the unified voice of the charter sector in Washington and in the national media. We maintain this leadership status by establishing strong grassroots relationships with our state counterparts and high-performing charter school networks that keep us close to the needs of the charter school students and leaders. The Alliance's current objective is to stimulate academic achievement by fostering a strong charter sector. Through our advocacy and communications work, the Alliance is working to strengthen the national charter policy landscape so that all families have access to high-quality public school options. It's our belief that good policy creates fertile ground for great schools. By creating a strong charter sector from coast to coast, we believe we serve as a positive example of what is possible for districts across the country. The end result leads to improved public education for all children. I believe our organization's success is tied to two things: thoughtful partnerships and an integrated approach to advocacy. Whether pursuing policy wins in Washington or in state capitals across the country, the Alliance always builds partnerships or coalitions of support with those stakeholders who will be most impacted by the policy. Leveraging these relationships can be especially helpful when opponents try to regress laws. Additionally, we understand the interconnectedness of state and federal policy and leverage our content experts from both spheres when devising our strategy. The National Alliance for Public Charter Schools is effective because we're methodical about how we approach advocacy and relationships. We always keep our eye on the prize when it comes to the high-quality growth of public charter schools. The Alliance's metrics of success are anchored in the number of Washington wins we lead. These can be anything from appropriated dollars or U.S. Department of Education decisions, the number of state laws changed or enacted to reflect our model law, and the degree to which we educate the public about the realities and myths of public charter schools via evidence-based messaging. The Alliance is not a membership organization, but rather a representative organization. As a representative organization, our model allows us to do what's in the best interest of charter school students and families, instead of a majority vote of a membership body. One of our major accomplishments is the effective way we've established state policy advocacy support. Since the beginning, the Alliance has provided policy advocacy support to state charter support organizations. We created a model charter school law that serves as the barometer for high-quality public charter school laws across the nation. It's currently used as a tool by the U.S. Department of Education-sponsored Race to the Top competitions and by state capitals across the country. We also produce annual state charter school law ranking reports. These are the only rankings of all state charter school laws that are based on a full range of values in the public charter school movement. The Alliance provided expert guidance to policy advocacy efforts in all 42 jurisdictions with charter school laws, and we contributed to notable state policy victories in 17 states, which included lifting caps, increasing funding, and strengthening accountability. The Alliance partnered with state advocacy organizations to develop a significant grassroots presence. On the federal level, we've had some noteworthy accomplishments as well. The Alliance has been the charter sector's uncompromised voice in Washington, D.C. We've led the charge on a number of different victories for the sector. We fought to grow the annual appropriations for the Charter Schools Program, also known as the CSP, from $214 million in 2004 to $256 million in 2010, despite a stringent budget climate that led to decreased funding for organizations across the country. When we found out that Congress was considering major cuts in charter school funding, we orchestrated a swift online advocacy campaign. That campaign led to thousands of people flooding congressional offices with emails and phone calls that helped defeat a bill to cut $100 million from the federal CSP. The Alliance secured the first of its kind allocation of $50 million from the Charter Schools program for the replication and expansion of high-performing charter school models. We provided counsel on the creation and introduction of the All-Star Act. This act laid important markers for changing the CSP to support the replication and expansion of high-performing charter schools. The Alliance worked closely with the U.S. House of Representatives to support the passage of bipartisan legislation to reauthorize the charter schools programs. The legislation passed on a 365 to 54 vote. The charter school movement is largely underfunded, with charter school students, on average, receiving 22% less funding than their district counterparts. Fiscal parity needs to be achieved for charter schools in order to ensure long-term sustainability for the nation's charter schools and the Alliance. Also, there are several misconceptions about charter schools, ranging from quality and accountability to funding and enrollment practices. As a movement that's still 20 years young, we're consistently working to engage and inform parents and the general public about charter schools. And finally, there's often an us versus them mentality regarding charter and traditional public schools. It's our belief that by placing competitive pressure on district systems and also sharing best practices, we can provide the nation's children with the best public education possible. With additional funds, the Alliance would relaunch our companion 501c4 organization and establish a political action committee. While we're able to accomplish a lot with our advocacy work as a 501c3, we're prevented from engaging in most politics, including electioneering and candidate support. Accessing uniform data between charters and districts is extremely challenging. And these challenges are one of the biggest reasons why so many studies on charters contradict one another. Also, if we conducted research, we'd be seen as biased producers of the analysis despite the caliber of the research. It would be dismissed just as quickly and naturally as a tobacco usage study produced by Philip Morris. Therefore, the Alliance has opted to peer review certain studies and to encourage other organizations as a means of ensuring that the charter story gets told with integrity.